Good morning, Uncle Albert. How are you today?
Very well, thank you.
Can you please introduce yourself?
My name is Albert Lewis. Experiences I had is that I think I was very fortunate to have in the presence of our Holy Mother Shri Mataji, and it occurred because I was a leader, so-called, in Brisbane for 16 and a half years.
When did you first come to Sahaja Yoga, Uncle Albert?
About 1979.
How did that happen?
Well, I was a seeker by reading many books, trying to find the answers of what life was all about. And I tried to squirrel some money away so I could go to India to see the real gurus and see what they were all about. And what happened was, being a married man with children, the money would evaporate, poof, gone. So then I saw an advertisement in the paper of this lady who was, I used to go to a place called the Sahaja Bookshop in Sydney, which is a very seeker-orientated book place, and I saw open up all these books, and I bought books and books and books, and some of the things that were in the books were that you will not get your enlightenment from books. And that puzzled me, so what am I going to do? So I bought more books. And on one of these books I opened up, and there's this lady who was a guru. What? A lady? You can't have a lady as a guru. There's got to be gnarled, crabby old men sitting on tiger skins or something. So I shut the book. And I'll fast forward that a bit, because when I was in India in '83, we were invited to stay at some people's houses, and I was invited to have a rest. And I was invited to have a rest in this house. It was a mud wall, cow dung hut, and the bed was just a Hessian bed. And I looked over and I saw this photograph that I hadn't recognised of Shri Mataji in the same place. I'd seen dozens of photographs of Shri Mataji, but not this one. And this proves that Shri Mataji says, once they have seen my photograph, my attention is on them. So I saw this advertisement in a paper about this real life guru in Sydney, so I'm going to check this out. So after a hard day's work, I went to Burwood, and I could see when I pulled up the photograph in the hall, and I misread the advertisement. I thought she was going to be there, and I wandered in and saw all these funny looking people, and I thought, if they don't behave themselves, I'm out of here. So after a hard day's work, I fell asleep, and Auntie Marilyn, she's here somewhere, she woke me up and offered me some Indian food, and I thought, wow, didn't know there was such a thing as a free lunch. So that was good. I went home. I had an hour drive home to Stanwell Park, and Pam asked me next morning, well, what's it all about? And I was there with a silly grin on my face, trying to sound intelligent. I didn't have a clue what had happened. I knew something had happened, but I didn't know what. So my feet didn't touch the ground for 2 weeks. So after that time, I went to Burwood, had to go back and find out what it was all about. And that's when I started to try and learn more and more about Sahaja Yoga.
What year was that, Uncle Albert?
79?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
and when did you first meet Shri Mataji? How did that come about?
On the 82, 83 tour, India tour, that first met her. I think the first time I saw Shri Mataji was, we used to take presents over for the Indian Yogis, and there were charts and photographs, big and large photographs, so that they could put in their ashrams and things. And Shri Mataji was up on the stage, and I was on the one side, and I was asked to go and unroll and display some of these photographs. So Shri Mataji on the stage, and I walked below the stage and across and didn't acknowledge Shri Mataji. And when I got to the other side, I tripped. And I was looking around at the durries, and there's no... I was reasonably athletic at the time. I thought, what tripped me up? But in hindsight, and looking around and looked at Shri Mataji, she was smiling, and all I could blurt out at the time was Jai Shri Mataji. So, but it was Ganesh, Master of Protocol. Here I've been for 3 years, bowing down to photographs, and there was the goddess sitting in front of me, and I didn't acknowledge her, didn't acknowledge properly. So, Master of Protocol, Sri Ganesh, tripped me up. There's no folds in the durry, anything. It was obviously Sri Ganesh. So.
And you said on that first tour you somehow were asked to be the video man.
Yes. I was asked to be a video man, and they taught me how to run the video, and that was very interesting in itself because I had to go early. It was very good in a way because my attention had to be on Shri Mataji when we were videoing, because if Shri Mataji was sitting in the seat talking and she moved to one side and you're sitting down looking at it, you had to be focused and make sure you moved the focus exact.
Had you had an experience being videoing before that?
No, never. No.
So why were you asked?
I don't know. Perhaps I didn't stand back when they asked for volunteers. So, and it was very, very interesting in as much as you had to get there early, had to focus, had to get the light right, had to plug in where something worked, make sure everything was right, make sure you had cassettes, and sitting there waiting for it all to happen, and you switch it on and it wouldn't work, so you had to go and find who pulled the plug out somewhere else. So there was always a plug missing somewhere and you had to sort it out. So.
What did you think you gained from that experience in that very early tour?
Attention. Very much more attention on what you're doing, focus on what you're doing, and I really enjoyed that. I was fortunately at one time there I was asked to Warren asked me to do puja, and another fellow to do puja, and we were at some hill station, and people were talking around as Sahaja Yoga said, blah, 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 and it was like you were watching something in slow motion, and I had the thought, I should go and get changed. Oh, this is all right. Second thought. The first thought was the best one, but the second thought was, oh, it's all right. No one seems to be rushing around or anything. And then the news I was in a tracksuit, old tracksuit, and the news came that Shri Mataji was coming. Oh, as if you flicked it to fast forward. People scurrying around all over the place, and they went to all jockeying for position where they could get up the front restroom. And I thought, oh, I'll be right. I'll be up the back, and I'll sit up the back, and I'll be safe in this old tracksuit. so Shri Mataji was talking, and then she stopped and said, "Who's going to do puja?" I said, oh, here we go. So the other fellow and myself had to go up to Shri Mataji's feet, and the other fellow, he was immaculate. Had his whites on and little studs, and here's these dirty old trackies that I've just had on, and I had to go to Shri Mataji's feet, and you put your head at her feet, and I could hear these bangles giving karate chop, 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 and I wasn't game to look up to see if it was him or me or getting him. I'm sure we both were. And what happened was, and then she lifted her feet, and it's time to stand up. She get up and acknowledge, and she said, "There, better now?" And I thought, "Oh God, I didn't know anything was wrong." So at the next puja, I was able to go to Shri Mataji's feet and do puja to Shri Mataji. So.
What was it like in those early years with very few yogis and you have close proximity with Shri Mataji? How did you...
Yes. We came up here in 83. There's no Sahaja Yogis up here in 83, and we held programs and got Shri Mataji to. So she came up here a year or two later. It must have been another year after that, and we had we had the program in not the City Hall, but the Arts Centre, and she asked us to go to have a meal afterwards, and she said somewhere by the river. Now, I didn't know anywhere. We didn't have money to go fancy restaurants, and we didn't do things like that at all. So the only place we could come up with was a place called East Chicago Pizza Parlour, and it was downstairs and through a few doors, and this place, it's now a Macca's, been changed, it's now a Macca's, and I made a mistake of thinking, we'll get Shri Mataji here and all the yogis can sit up and see Shri Mataji. And where I asked Shri Mataji to sit, there was a food bar behind, and all the people self-serving at the salad bar or something like that, and it was a disaster, in as much as I should have put Shri Mataji in the best seat and let the yogis sort themselves out, which they're good at doing. So three things happened there that were very noticeable. Shri Mataji, Brisbane's a left-sided place. People come up here and fall asleep from Sydney, and Shri Mataji had ordered some spaghetti bolognese, and she was putting this on it, cutting it up, and asked for some more hot sauce or something, and I thought, my God, that's going to be hot. And she cut it all up, and then she got some on a fork and offered it to me. And I had tears in my eyes just thinking of it. So you can't refuse a prasad directly from the goddess, so you have to eat it. And all the people who'd gathered there, the yogis, were laughing their heads off. This Albert, because I knew he couldn't stand hot food. And she said, don't laugh at him, you'll embarrass him. So she made them all have some. So the people who were laughing at me all had tears out their eyes because of trying to clear this left side. So that was interesting in itself.
How did you come to, so you were in Sydney in 1983, there was no Sahaja Yoga in Brisbane.
Yeah.
How did you get sent here?
Well, the leaders at the time, I was a free agent in as much as I'd sold my business to go to India tour, and I was just, I won't say bumming around, but I was this job and that job and nothing substantial. And at that time, my wife and I had remarried, so we came up to Brisbane to start Sahaja Yoga. So yeah, that was interesting in itself. So
did Shri give you any instructions or advice about how to do that in those early years?
No.
Just come.
I was fortunate in as much as I spent a lot of time videoing Shri Mataji, and when I came back to Sydney, off for end of the 83 tour, I followed Shri Mataji around Australia. I was asked to video Shri Mataji around Australia. Yeah. So there was Perth, Adelaide, Melbourne, Sydney, and at that time they were asked to, they were going to come and do a program up in Brisbane, but Shri Mataji said Brisbane's not ready yet. There's too many false gurus up here. It's not ready for Sahaja Yoga yet. So they had advertised for a program to be here, but they sent some people up just to hold a program because they'd done all the advertising. So in through the front door and went through the process of realisation, and then we realised that it's better off to be on neutral ground. Public schools or libraries or things like that, so much better than inviting people into the house, with especially left-sided people.
I was going to ask you a little bit of advice that Shri Mataji gave you about your marriage, because you mentioned that you'd been separated from your wife, and
yes.
that you went back to Shri Mataji, and at this stage your wife Pam wasn't in Sahaja Yoga. What advice did Shri Mataji give you?
Have you got much film there?
How about the advice Shri Mataji gave you?
Oh right, just the advice. Yeah.
So tell us the story, how you...
Shri Mataji had...
Called you?
yeah. Those were the times when we had private, I won't say complaints, conversations with the goddess. And at that time, I'd asked with the leader at the time, yes, I think I could get back with my wife. Of course, she's coming along to Sahaja Yoga and she seems to be enjoying it and growing in it and whatever. And what happened was I slid in on my knees in the room when it was my time to go in. We had set times. And I'm looking around, I'm thinking, this place is supposed to be full of deities. I can't see any. Anyway, I better get on with it. And Shri Mataji was smiling all the time. She knows what's in your thoughts. And relating some of the problems. And one of the things I was relating was I could never win an argument with my wife, and we argued ourselves apart. And she said, well, some people are like that. so she put it into Bundan, and as I was about to leave, she said, and I don't know who to thank the most, you for coming along to Sahaja Yoga or your wife for looking after the kids. And I thought, oh, that took away any argument I had to
Did Shri Mataji also, I think you mentioned, she advised you not to argue with your wife and let her win the argument?
Yeah, maybe.
Do you want to repeat that?
Yeah, yeah, she did. She said, don't try and win arguments with your wife. I can't now even.
And that was the secret to your happiness?
Yeah. Instead of saying, I love you, we just say, yes, dear.
So tell us a bit about, so you came to Brisbane and you started Sahaja Yoga, and how did it start growing, and what interactions did you have with Shri Mataji about Brisbane?
Oh, yes. There was, there's one time, oh, yeah, that's right. The other thing that, yes, the interactions, right. There were times when we were speaking after the programs in the bedroom, and there was a case. We were the first in the world to have radio programs, and Uncle Michael Fogarty and Auntie Marilyn and a few of us, Lynn Rolls and myself, would go to the radio program and we'd practice so that we could do a live show. And when Shri Mataji was at a place in Brisbane where we had been to this was the next visit, because she said she wanted to go somewhere by the river, we thought, right, we found a restaurant near the river, and some of us went there previously and felt tremendous vibration. Oh, this is going to be fantastic. So, and there was a girl there, it was a really good singer. So we thought, oh, it'd be nice to get this girl to sing some songs for Shri Mataji. So we organised this, but because the radio program was on the same night as the program when Shri Mataji was there, we went to this restaurant after the program and we had this meal there, and that came, because we did live shows on the radio, it was a disaster, in as much as what I should have done is pre-record the program and give it to the station manager and let them do it. And what happened was, Shri Mataji comes, was seated, and the meal's coming out, and the time's wearing out when we had to go and do this live show. And Shri Mataji's talking away, and then so looking at the time, and she's talking away. Because she's desireless, you have to invite her to eat. And so one of the Indians at the time told me, oh, you have to invite Shri Mataji to eat. Oh, Shri Mataji, would you like to eat? Right, so she started eating, and we could eat then. We can't eat before the goddess. And what happened was, so we scoffed our food and excused ourselves and went into this program. And we were on a high. A couple of us went to do the program. We were on a high, as though we'd been to the biggest puja we'd ever been on. And we came home, and I pulled up in the driveway, and Philip rushed out and said, the singer attacked Shri Mataji. And I said, oh my God, what's going on here? And I immediately realised that I should have stayed with Shri Mataji and given the program. Anyway, I walked in, I thought, well, I'll be lucky if I don't end up in a pile of ashes out of this. so I walked in and talking in the room, and Shri Mataji sitting on the bed, and I snuck in, tried to disguise myself amongst the wallpaper, and I apologised for this lady who, and it turned out she vocally attacked Shri Mataji, and she said, "It's all right. It's all right. It's part of my plan. They will all expose themselves before they die." So, to me, that is very profound, in as much as all these priests and people and pedophiles or whatever, it's all coming to the surface. They'll all expose themselves, and this is part of the plan. So, part of divine plan to expose all this. So young people could be forgiven for thinking, oh, the world's in a mess, but it's the end of Kali Yuga. And this is all coming to the surface. So that, I thought, was very, very significant.
What did Shri Mataji think of the radio program?
Warren took a tape over there, and she was absolutely delighted. Warren said he's never seen her so happy about the next step being taken, you know. So.
And tell us about how the collective started, and then from rented premises, one day Shri Mataji decided that you needed to buy a property of your own.
We were at a place called Highgate Hill, and Highgate Hill was right in the city, and it was the end of the 88 Expo 88, and it may have been a year or so after. And what happened was the people were buying property there, and it didn't materialise as enough money as they thought they did. And then they started selling the houses, and the house we were renting was coming up for auction, and we didn't quite know what to do. And those were the days when you didn't have a collective input, but the banks have changed now. But so Shri Mataji arrived in Perth. We rang Perth for them to ask Shri Mataji, what should we do with this? I said, don't worry, I have something in mind. We thought, oh, what's he got in mind? And so we went to, when she in time arrived to Brisbane, she was in her room and looking through the paper and said, go and look at this property. So we came up here, and this place was a tin shed, a dirt floor, axe and chopping block in the corner for the wood fire stove, Harley Davidson in the corner, punching bag over here, and so we went back to tell Shri Mataji about it, but she told us all about it. And she said, put fly screens up and brick it up. Live there and you'll know what's needed. And when we lived here, we put a concrete floor in. We divided up into several rooms. There's about 4 rooms here, and you'd be talking to someone in one room and they'd answer you from another room. So it was a little bit unprivate. So she and I thought to myself, this place is totally illegal. It's not even on council plans, and what do I do? And it was live there and you'll know what's needed. So, and brick it up. Yeah. So I thought, well, the only thing to do here is to start again. And this bush, the bush over there, was like that, trees and scrub and bush, and so I had plans drawn up. And when Shri Mataji was here, when she came, we'd actually started. I had a plans drawn up in the past, and then we got the backhoe in, got it all levelled, and we had the slab down, and we'd actually made some mud bricks. So we found out about some cement stabilised mud bricks, and I took a brick in to show Shri Mataji when she was here. We had her in the little room and had a place decked out. And I said, we're making it out of mud bricks, Shri Mataji, because of the white ants. And she said, white ants? Not a problem. vibrated water and kumkum. So that was so simple. And then Hari and the leaders had decided this wasn't befitting our Holy Mother, this little tin shed we were asking to stay in, the goddess to stay in. So we went to, they took her into the apartments in town. So before we did that, we drove her around the property showing her the brick making machine that we'd fabricated up, and she says, cut the trees down. 20, plenty of trees here. Use the trees on the property. Some of the greenies nearly freaked out.
So you milled the wood for the property from the trees here?
Yeah, we did.
And you used the clay for the bricks?
Yes, we did.
So the house was built pretty much from all the...
Oh, yeah, as much as possible. We achieved a lot out of minimum amount. So we scoured the front dam, and it was a good mixture of sand and clay. 70% sand, 30% clay, plus 7 of concrete dust. And it was easy to tell if you had a good mix or not, because we had to sieve it, and when we sieved it and put it in the machine, if it was too damp, mix water with it. If it was too damp, you couldn't compress it, can't compress water. And if it was too loose, you think, oh, that's a nice brick, and you grab it up and go all directions. So you go back into the pot.
It turned out all right.
Yeah. And so we got the tree, local sawmill fella to come up and tell us which trees are good. This one's no good, that's bark's twisted, and this, so it went on. And we cut down 32 trees here. One of the most stressful jobs I've ever done. And he came up with a snigger. The miller. Snigger is not just a laugh. It's a machine. It's like a forklift, high wheels with 4 wheels, and it comes under, lifts a tree up and comes out through the bush, and they put it down so that they can put it on a truck to take away. So 32 trees we did, and then
How many bricks did you make?
14,000.
14,000 you all made by
bricks.
hand?
Yeah, in the machine.
Yeah.
You know. And but there's a lot of people who put a lot of effort and a lot of work into this place. People would come up, spend their holidays here working like crazy. And we had a fellow in Darwin who rang us up and said, oh, they're pulling down some Navy stores here, and it's all what sort of wood's that? It's the one that white ants don't eat. And he said people are starting to take interest in it. The one that's grown in Western Australia.
Oh, Jarrah.
Jarrah, yeah. And I said, oh, it can't be much wood. And he said, they're taking it to the tip. I said, can't be much good if they're taking it to the tip. And then he rang us up a week later and said, they're pulling another one down and people are starting to get interested in this Jarrah. I said, well, see how much they wanted for it. So anyway, next thing I saw was a semi-trailer coming down the driveway loaded with this Jarrah. And there's beams and there's bits sticking up all directions, and I thought, oh my God, what have I done? Anyway, we spent months pulling nails out and bolts out and trying to resaw it and whatever. So a lot of the wood over there is Jarrah. Beautiful. Around the window frames and things like that. Yeah.
You mentioned that the collective here is not a large one, so it was really the efforts of as a national project where Yogis came.
This place, yes. Every time Shri Mataji come up, there was always an influx of Sydney people, because I knew there weren't many people up here, and there's a great opportunity to be close to the goddess. So, yes, and this place here, what we're looking at now, is the effort of a lot of people, money, collecting, fundraising, and whatever means they had to pay for this. So the building you see now is, I think it's quite befitting our Holy Mother as a meditation room, meditation hall. And when when Shri Mataji was looking at the plans of the house I had there, she opened it up and said, "An ambitious project, I must say." And I thought, what do I do?
You were 16 years as a Queensland leader, and you were one of the founding fathers of Sahaja Yoga here.
Yeah.
What's your experiences with Shri Mataji during that time? What can you share with the people here about what it was like to be with Shri Mataji, to be close to her, to talk to her, to get advice?
There's, she's Mahamaya, and quite often you can forget the protocol that we should know. One of the first pujas we had, the ladies had made decorations on the path of Ganesh, and Shri Mataji walking from this Highgate Hill, walking from the house on the path to where we had the early puja. There was these symbols, and she wouldn't walk on them. She says, "Such a holy symbol, I don't want to walk on it." So Shri Mataji's on the dais, and we're having halfway through the puja, and she's telling the Australian ladies, learn from the Indians the correct way to hold puja and arti and things like that. So we're on a very steep learning curve. And another thing is, we had a pendle there, and she was on the western wall, and it was getting quite hot. And I was thinking to myself, she looks like she's getting a little bit, I can't use the word distressed, she can't get distressed, she's the goddess. She looks like uncomfortable maybe. And I thought, I was thinking to myself, there was a fan here, and I thought, if I move back, and that's as far as I got with the thought, and I was mid-air, and Hari was just in front of me, and he looked round to see who pushed him, but I didn't push him, and there was a channel where the air could flow to Shri Mataji and Shri Hanuman, faster than thought. His action was faster than thought, so we were pushed either way, and I didn't consciously think I'll move my foot and move across. I was on to one side straight away. So yeah, she's things happen around Shri Mataji and make you forget. And another time, maybe I was excited about the conversations about getting this property up here. And when Shri Mataji is in an ashram, or when she's there, when she wants to have a rest or go to sleep, that room has to be totally blacked out. So we'd black out the curtains with tape and brown paper to make sure no light came in. And maybe I'd lost. Shri Mataji was talking, and then she said, I want to now rest. And she pulled back the blankets, and I was still chattering away about something, and I pulled the blankets back over and tucking her in. I nearly break out into sweat when I think about it. And I was still chattering. Oh, and I can still remember the bemused look on her face as this fella's forgotten who I am. As though you're tucking in your favourite Indian auntie or something. And then you've got to scurry around and pick up all the plates and whatever to take them out to the cooks and the ladies in waiting outside, because the last person out has to take all these things out. So that was another event in itself.
I remember once after a program in Brisbane, Shri Mataji was there talking to us, and you were massaging her feet, and she asked questions about different naturopathies and different herbal techniques, and then she leaned down to you and said, "What did you think, Albert?" And you said, Shri Mataji, I think people don't put enough store in Sahaja Yoga.
Yeah, not enough faith in Shri Mataji and Sahaja Yoga.
Okay. And she slapped you on the back and she said,
"It's right.
It's right.
He has said it."
Yeah. And she said, "You have the wisdom of a farmer."
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like a simple man.
Yeah, I use the axe.
Think about the stuff I have. So just to end, what was it like, the feeling of awe in front of the goddess?
Yeah, it was. But she's Mahamaya, and she could easily make you forget. And you had to try and think, I better behave myself here. So, going shopping, she's people are looking, but they don't know why they're looking at her, and you're trying to make sure that you're not in the way, and you're making sure she's well attended. Lynn used to follow around with a basket with I think it was warm Coke and some nibblies and whatever, and so that we had all this stuff if she wanted to have this rest or whatever. Yeah.
Given your experience with Shri Mataji over a long period of time, what advice would you give to yogis about Sahaja Yoga and Shri Mataji in depth?
Meditate as much as possible. There are protocolish rules which we should follow. I'm a bit guilty of not doing all of them all of the time, but yes, foot soaks and meditations, and just keep at it.
Yogis who won't have the chance to see Shri Mataji may feel they missed an opportunity.
Oh, yeah. We're so... the people who were there, Pam and I, and the people who were there at the time, who actually had conversations with Shri Mataji, we didn't realise how special it was until it wasn't there. And this is something enormous. Fancy this. I mean, I still got to pinch myself to think that this actually happened. It was so enormous. So we're so grateful to have been there. And I think one of the things that brings us back to appreciate it is in the 108 thank yous that the Austrians did. It's in the mantra book, 108 thank yous, and that's fantastic. That really reminds us of what Shri Mataji has done for us, what she's doing for us, what she's giving us, and what more can I say? I mean,
those memories are still very live for you. Those experiences.
Oh yeah. When I think back, I break out into a sweat. And there is no end. You've just got to keep at it. So, what can I say? We were so privileged, and I think yes, we were here for quite a while, and we're privileged to have built this place. Shri Mataji, when she chose this place, the leaders at the time, when she was going back to Sydney, they said, you should have got this in Sydney, you should have done this here. But and she said, it's all right. So for whatever reason, and I don't know what it is, Wamuran, I think is a very special place for whatever reason. And having been here, and she gave a lecture which was outside over there, and we watched it the other night, and and I watched the puja that we had at Highgate Hill. It's beyond description.
You've lived a very privileged life, Uncle Albert.
Very much so.
And as one of our elders and founding fathers, we say thank you for your efforts.
Thank you.
Jai Shri Mataji.